Hello and welcome to Death Stories Living Truth. On this channel, what I do is I watch near-death experiences, I watch people tell their stories, and then I take what I can and apply it to my life because I want to live as fully and as present as possible. I don't want to get to the end of my life and have regrets. So in watching these near-death experiences, I've learned so much about living, and I find it so interesting that each story is so unique, it's so different, but there are so many things that are so similar. So see what you guys can find out. Tell me in the comments what you find different and similar about each one of these different stories. Tell me what you learn about living your life, and if there's anything that you're going to be doing differently from now on. Let's get started. Oh, this story is from the afterlife. I have not watched it yet, so I don't know what happens, and I'm really excited. Let's get started.
And that's why I was like, wow, that's a wake-up call. So looking around the apartment, I didn't even check to see my body. Somebody would say, sometimes they would say, we check on our body floating around, but I was feeling kind of like betrayed in a sense where I would no, I cannot look at myself laying on that bed, but I turn my back on my body, go outside in the living room. And then where that would be is that my library, which actually was really a good part of, which is still a part of my life because that's where I, connect all my researches and stuff. And I realized that's the only thing that's missing in my life right now, in my death, because it's knowledge. It's all about the knowledge that's inside those books that I didn't have time to read. I just lost time, checking out the thing when I was supposed to be, immersed in those knowledge, in those books and stuff like that. So I was feeling very sad, and I was not, happy about it. Because I was like, I'm losing knowledge, knowing that I'm going far away like that. And then for me to not able to even know half of what's inside these books in my library, that was very heart-wrenching. So it happened like that. I don't know what I had, and it may sound crazy, but death comes in any form, So it was that dramatic situation, and then it was so intense that to tell you the story is that we never know when death comes and why it comes. So that's why I always cherish everything after that. When you're in that state, you feel that you are so at peace, right? And that enhancement of love, of everything that you would call senses, right? So the senses we have now, it's not even close to what we have on the other side. Because it's so overwhelming, the love, the warmth, and you feel that energy is connecting to you, and you are that energy, it's the same in one, all in all, and all in one. So there was no fear. That never happened. As a matter of fact, I even asked myself, what's going on? Why am I not scared? Let's say in that world, 1 second is 24 hours. So 1 second in our life right now is 24 hours. So that means you got a lot of time in 1 minute, or even 1 second, or even 2 seconds, or 5 seconds, right? So just to see how that time is a different matter there. And then from that tunnel to all these things I was being showed around, indeed, there was the stage, which is weird, and that's where the story gets so strange, and my experience gets so, overwhelming then, because as I was about to leave Earth for real, so what I would see is that Earth is kind of zooming out from my point of view going. So I was standing there, and then the voice, which is very calm voice, and says, you know what? Bow down and say goodbye to Earth. I said, why should I bow down? He said, well, because you were only an actor. I said, an actor? And the voice said, yes, you were an actor because the whole world is a stage. I was, a stage? How can I be? So everything that I'm hearing now is part of a play, even the worst thing that could happen. And the voice said, yes, everything included. The very bad thing that you can hear is part of the play. And the world is a stage. So now you finish your part, say your goodbyes, and then let's move on. So I asked another question.
Wow, that's really interesting. So he's saying that Earth, this life that we're living on Earth, is a stage, and that we're the actors and we are just performing a part, which makes a lot of sense. It's just like what they say about the Matrix, that we're living in the Matrix, and none of this physical things are real. Time is not real. Money is definitely not real. These lives that we're projecting are not real. We're just pretending. We're acting out a part. Where I'm acting out as Janae. Like, this Janae is not my spirit. Janae is my physical body. And that makes so much sense, because for me, it's always felt weird. Hearing my name always felt weird. It never felt like it belonged to me completely. And I figured everybody feels that way. And it's probably just because I didn't name myself. So it doesn't feel like it belongs to me. Does that make sense? I don't know. I might sound crazy. Let's get back to the video.
And I said, so let's say I'm not going to hear from this person, bomb this person, this guy stabbed this person, this betrayal, all this. No, you're not going to hear about it because it's all part of it. What was that? So that means, what am I now? I mean, is it just because I'm just, simple actor, or is it because of grand part? So that's when the voice says, just bow down. And then as I was bowing down, and then I saw these two curtains that closed, because I'm a stage hand, so that we do a lot of backstage things too. So the curtain just goes together, and then all of a sudden we are somewhere else. So the realm of the afterlife is not something that is physical, or where you would just walk 10 miles or 5 miles. No, it's just instantaneously. So you want to be there. And then that's what happened. And then that's when it was so overwhelming then, because in that moment, I felt like I'm gonna miss a lot, to tell you the truth. That's when it felt like I'm not gonna hear from such and such person. I felt a sadness at that moment indeed. It's like a goodbye indeed. And then I was feeling a little pinch, but I know it was for the best, so I had to move on, and then we moved on, and then there I was somewhere else, and then the experience keep on going. So where it would take me, actually, to that valley. And then, as you ask, if it's, instantaneously that we can travel or do whatever, yeah, that's how it happens. You don't need to ask to be there. You just want to be there, you're there. And then that's where it happened in the valley, where all the story gonna become a little bit stranger.
What happened in the valley? Was this still the sense of love that you were feeling before?
Is it? It is the same. It is the same, actually. Nothing has changed since that transformation. Actually, I called it a transformation because when we say R.I.P. in our language, we always call it rest in peace, right? But in fact, it's a reinvention. I had my own translation for it, which is reinvention is possible instead of rest in peace. So
I love that.
So yes, then that transformation.
I love that. Instead of rest in peace, reinvention is possible. That's awesome. Because I also agree with that. I don't believe that death is final. I believe it's a transformation, and we transform into a different being, which we transform into our spirit bodies. Sorry, one sec. I'm just learning this, so I have not quite figured out how to do the split screen. and not have all this stuff in my face. I haven't figured that out yet. So give me time, guys. I'm working on it. But anyways, back to the video. No, go sit down.
You know, we live it, and then we just go on to a different phase. And in that valley, it was so beautiful, so magnificent. There's no words to describe those things, because it's all beyond comprehension and beyond words. And then even if I would put a word to it, it still would not do it justice, because the valley, the flowers, the everything has life in it. You know, it's everything is alive. And then that's where I was in that valley, admiring the scenery, walking tranquilly. You know, like you're there, but you're not there. Right? I'm saying walking. It's just like I felt I was there, like walking, but having that 360-degree view where you don't need to turn your head to look. You know, you can hear colors. You know, you can smell sounds, things like that. It's so different. And that's where in that valley I realized this massive gate there standing. So, which to my surprise was pretty interesting. But how I discovered that those gates is because there was a sound like a music playing. But strangely enough, the music felt like it was like a Brazilian bossa bossa. It was pretty strange enough. So I was like, attracted towards the sound. That's why I kept on, going towards the sound. And I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And I moved towards it, slowly but surely. And then that's when I was stumbled upon the massive gates there, which is, I cannot tell you how many miles high, but it was very high and tall and magnificent. And I was just there admiring for a while. I was like, wow, what's such a architecture. It was interesting. It was there in front of me. And all of a sudden, something just clicked in my mind. I said, well, who's gonna greet me? So somebody has to open the gates, actually, because it's like I felt like I'm not allowed to open it myself, and then somebody has to open it to give you the permission to enter. And then I was standing there waiting. But as I was waiting, it's like there was this big party behind, and the music so mellow and jolly and calm, and I was even a little bit swinging my body a little bit because it was so sweet. So so I was in that trance there, in that situation, in that moment. But waiting there, being from being raised in Haiti, and then from my parents being like Christian from their background, so I was very well, not versed, but I was searching deeply in religions. So I went in the mosque. I went in Islam, Christianity, Catholicism, and all of them. I checked all of them around because I wanted to know. So being there, I was standing in front of that gate, and I was asking myself, who would welcome me? And then I was like, is it that Jesus guy? Is it that Jesus situation that I'm gonna experience now? Because I wanna know all of that's been said in that world there. Is it that? If it's the truth? Because if there's somebody that could give me an answer, and then that has his name the most talked about on earth, that has to have all the experiences of the world and knowledge. So definitely I'm waiting for it. But no fear whatsoever. And I was standing there waiting for somebody to open the gate. But I waited. What felt like minutes, actually, it's like years even, because that's how time elapsed in that moment, in that realm. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting until I find out that I realize I cannot go. I cannot cross the gates. And the reason why I cannot cross these gates is because if ever I would have to cross, that would be the total end of me there. It's like throughout the journey, but you haven't reached the final destination. But that was the final destination. How I know that? It just came like as if I knew the place already. It's not like something I just, oh, well, no, it's just like in myself, I know, hey, I.
It's really interesting. A lot of the NDEers talk about this knowing. Like nobody has to tell them. They just know. When they're there, their spirit is just part of the experience. Like you're living, you're experiencing everything around you. Like he said, he can hear the plants, colors make sounds, and everything is so vibrant, and all of your senses you didn't even know existed are alive and awake. Like that's crazy. And for there to be a gate, this is honestly the first story that I've heard where there is a gate. And with this gate, it won't allow him in, because once he crosses that threshold, then that's it. His experience on Earth as who he is as this human ends. You know, I'm sure he can reincarnate and start all over, but whatever his mission was, the whole purpose, his whole point of reincarnating the first time as this human who he is right now, that will not be complete if he crosses this threshold too soon. I believe that's what he's saying.
No, these plays, I know how it works. If you cross, you done. I say, whoa, it's like a trap, a trick. But I'm not gonna be, be part of it. So that's how I felt there. And I was like, I can do it. And I have my reasons not to do it, because then life was very different.
Well, did you feel tempted to try and go through? Because a lot of people say that they don't want to come back.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Actually, I felt tempted because I know kind of what's there because of what I've been experiencing already in the realm and of the valley of, let's say, death. Because there's no such thing, as I was telling you before, no fear. It's all joy and love, pure love. It's not some half measure love. It's pure love. Like you feel this intensity. It's crushing you, but in a good way. Like when somebody misses you for a long time and you get that hug, I imagine that, multiplied by a couple millions. So it's in that moment, no, actually, it's just that standing there, I was a bit tempted, but the question that I had in my mind were like, what about things that I've learned that would happen to me and further in life? Could they all have been lies? And that's why I say, no, it cannot be, because I trusted those sources. And then I played it again. I said, let's say my fiance would just discover me.
Your body.
Exactly. She would just not found me, and then, okay, came over, bang, there I am. So I was like, that's another no. I was checking for options, kind of, but the temptation was there, because it's such an intense feeling, a magnificent sensation, that if you ever cross it, definitely you're not coming back. It's like the last, you cut the thread right there. And then many people, they really choose that because of the suffering of the body. So the body is very like a bottle, it's like the liquid inside. It's what we need. It's you. But the bottle is just the shelf. You can fill the bottle again with different liquids if you want, but it's the trap. So that's why I came to understand the Gospel of Judas.
That was a really great analogy. I loved the way he explained that. I think I'm going to use that to try to explain to my daughter, because she's only 6, and she helped care for my father with me for 9 months before he passed. One sec. So I have not. And so after he passed, it was really difficult for her to understand that his body was not him, that he's actually a spirit, and that she can still communicate with that spirit, and she can still be connected to him in that way, even though she can't see him. So for him to explain it that way, that the body is the bottle and our spirit is the fluid, the liquid in the bottle. Like, we are not the bottle. The bottle is just the container that's holding the liquid, but we are the liquid. That's our spirit. The water in the bottle, the good stuff, that's our spirit. And when it's released from the bottle, it's free to go wherever it wants, right? There's no constriction anymore. So that's what he means by it's the trap. The bottle is the trap. Your body is a trap. In a way, it is, because it's trapping your spirit and keeping you limited in ways. And I think that's important, because I think we need to be limited in ways when we're here on Earth, or in Earth school, like I like to call it, so that we can learn the lessons that are meant to be learned, and we can have the experiences that we came here to experience.
When Jesus said to Judas, you will get rid of the man that clothes me. So that's how it came about in the gospel. So it's like the body is the shell that is entrapping us, but yet we have to, do our best, do our part in the world that we were put in, to be able to keep on the keep the purpose we were there for. I said no, I can't do that. I was promised this. I was promised children. I was promised a bunch of things in life, and especially I can't do it, and I don't like the conditions it would have happened. So I played it like that. But it's not like a open mouth plea. It's just there to say in that moment, like you're communicating, and somebody's listening to you, right? But knowing that I would have crossed that gate, it would have been very messy. But I stood there. That was painful.
Well, I'm so interested in who was listening, and you waited at that gate and you were wondering kind of which God would come and greet you. Were you wondering if you were going to discover the true religion at that moment?
Well, that's exactly the point. The point is that there's no such thing as religion in that situation, because I came to understand that there is no such thing, because God is only the electromagnetic pulse that gives life and live within all living things, right? So when I was waiting at the gates, for sure, there's a gate, there's entities, there's people, let's say, that would just open the gates. But I was not expecting any sort of gods, none of that, because in that moment, like, the religions disappeared. They gone. There's no such notion of religion. It's all love, pure love, connectivity with the source. So I would say it's the source, the voice that would talk to me. Feels like it was my voice through something else or somebody else, but I cannot even see and who. But it felt like me being in contact with me, but on a higher self, telling myself exactly how it is. Like, remember I said that when you go there, it's like a sense of, okay, I don't know the place. We end where we begin. It's a return to the source, to the same place that we were forged. So I was not expecting any. I mean, I had questions. Indeed, I was gonna ask about all these this thing we have in the world, is the truth. Actually, I really wanted the truth. That's the thing. So the truth is what I really wanted. I said, you know what? I finally have a chance to know. And then people who know me, they know I pro knowledge. So that's it's not my favorite word ever, knowledge. So that's why I have my motto: ignorance is a choice, right? And then people who believe don't know. So that's how I put things. So, and then there was no such thing as waiting and then being judged, being afraid, being chastised, being punished by somebody that.
I find that really interesting because I feel like most religions, regardless of what religion it is, they all have this control mechanism where they put you in this box and you're only allowed so much room. And if you make any mistakes and step out of that box just a little bit, then you're chastised, you're bad, you're going to hell, God's not going to love you, you're going to be punished. And in doing the research that I've been doing, I've realized that that is the biggest lie out of everything, out of all religions, every single one of them. That is the biggest lie. God does not judge. Humans judge. That's a human emotion. That is not a godly emotion. God is not human. Just like he said, God is energy. Energy does not judge. God does not judge you. Only other humans judge you. Only you judge you. Other humans judge you. Spirit does not. God does not. That is like the biggest message. Huge message. That's going to change so many people's lives. The notion that God judges you is only a way for humans to control other humans. That's what fear is created for. It's created to control. And that's what humans want to do. They want to control everything. They want to control everybody. They want to control everything. They don't like being surprised. They want to believe that they're in control of every single thing that goes on. And that's just not true. It's not possible and it's not true. And a way for that is to scare you. That's the best way to keep you in these walls, is to make you afraid. And what's the one thing everybody's going to be afraid of? God, of course. So yeah, God's going to punish you and God's going to judge you. That's just so false. God would never. He would never.
Told me, well, I did bad, I did good. No, I was just there in the moment. And then the moment is the solemn moment because you don't know why things happen in your life. And then when things happen, you just have to accept it. So that's why we have all this promotion in the world, because we're trying to take a detour, from things that's supposed to happen to us, but we don't accept them. And I accepted it gladly when that happened. I said, if it was that, then I'm gonna welcome it, but I know I wasn't ready for it. So yeah, I didn't wait for nobody and see no God really, but I know that for sure there was no religion that was there to just dictate what you had to do when you had to do it.
So did you feel as though you were going to be judged, or was this a realm without judgment?
Without, I mean, there is no such thing. That's actually one of the things. Remember, I grew up in around those religions, right? I used to be around the Muslim community. I went to the mosque, all of that. I've been, my name been changed, all of that. Catholic, I grew up in Catholic school all my life, and then Christianity is all around me, and other religions too. So I did in all of them. And then I was expecting.
Wow.
That. Yes, I was expecting to have this judgment, this hell fire, this whatever punishment it was, it would have been. But I was welcomed with full love, with great welcome, and I was welcomed with great joy. I mean, because it was such a pure experience. It's like it's so vivid, and then I was like, why me? Why I had to be chosen for that,
Yeah,
right?
so-
I know it was
so-
type of situation where I would just call up on death, because then when things were hard, very hard, then for me, I was in my research and things I was experiencing, all of that in life, personal life. And then I remember I was mad at some point going at it. It's like I was going against the creator, the master, universe holder, or something like that. And then I was frustrated, you know. And then I was like, maybe that I'm doing something wrong. Then come and get me, some things like that. And he was very, very bad, very bad to even come to that point and ask for that, right? So, but I was not afraid to welcome it. That's the point. That's the point. But I didn't accept the way that happened. So that's the other side. Yeah, we were there, and there was no such thing as judgment. I was free. It was a freeing experience. You don't get to be afraid of where you come from. So it's like going back home. So that's how it felt like. And I know most people they tend to have that fear of damnation, you know, and you can tell you, I know such thing.
That's the most beautiful message. And I feel like I'm saying this a lot in different interviews, but another huge reason why I wanted to share this channel is because I feel like messages like that can make people feel so comforted. Reed, how did you?
I agree. That's the whole reason I have this channel, because I believe that messages like that are so important. Because I believe so many people are trapped, and they're trapped by fear. And that's because everybody is trying to control your thoughts and control you and control themselves. And in doing that, they trap you. You get trapped in fear. You just get stuck. You get paralyzed. Because you're so afraid. What if I'm wrong? What if they're right? What if this person's right? What if this person's wrong? What if I'm wrong? And it just compounds you. And then before you know it, you spent your entire life afraid. And now you're at the end of life and you see there's nothing to fear. And now you have all this regret. Like, God, had I only known that I didn't need to be scared, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have said this, I would have lived like that, I would have did this and that. I mean, I hear it all the time. All the time. I'm 44, so my parents are older, and they're at a point in their life. Well, actually, my father had passed in July, and my mother, she's at a point in her life where a lot of her friends and people her age are passing, right? Because what's life expectancy is 70. My father passed at 73. My mom just turned 72. So yeah, a lot of her people that she grew up with and that she knows, they're at the end of their life and they are passing. And this is very serious. Like, this is a big deal. They're realizing they spent their entire life afraid. And because they were so enveloped in fear, they didn't live. And then when they realize that, it's too late. And I don't want that. I don't want that for my daughters. I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my mother. Even though she's 72, it's not too late. If you stop being afraid and start living, you can do that at any age, any moment.
Return to your body.
For the return, it was something of a blank too, right? And as I was standing there, as I was there, I'm not standing in front of that gate there, waiting patiently for somebody to open it up, but feeling very, very anxious in a sense where I cannot accept that. I really can't do that deal now. I'm not ready for it. I know that it's a situation where it's a PNR, a point of no return. I can't do it. So let's work something else out. And as I was pleading like that, asking, no, we cannot do that. But when I was pleading, it's not like I could not, it's not like me not wanting to go. It's just that I feel like I delayed myself the going.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
Exactly. I said, no, it's not the time. Probably let me finish some stuff I had planned already, or that was planned for me. Probably we can discuss after, but not now. I cannot do it now. And as I was talking like that or reading and telepathically like that, and this push, it just felt that I had this push, right? And then falling from maybe 1,000 feet, and I just fell in my body again. Like, I just, it was so interesting the way it happened. I was laying there in that body, lifeless, and I just came back and slammed into it. Bang!
Wow.
I just woke up and grabbed it. Okay, and I remember I started, hitting myself back on the bed, trying to go back. I was like, no, 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 no. Oh, I said, how to go back? How to go back? And I just said no. But I was like, why you wanna go back? You remember if you were done, you would have been gone forever. Now, but I know I wasn't gonna go back because I really wanted to stay. But I wanted to go back because of the love of the experience of. It's like a secret place, and other don't, and you wanna do it over and go back there on your own. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, but it felt like a loud silence when you fall back in your body, and then
Of course.
yeah, and then you get your breathing back, you exhale, right, and then your heart is pounding, and then you feel a bit sweaty, and then you wonder what time is it, what happened, where I was, all of that, and you know where you were, but it's just so in the moment, like unexpected, because it was unexpected. So it's the situation, and that's how I came back. Trying to go back again was even more critical because I wasn't kept there, but I wanted to go back. But it was all that, and it was with all love. It was with all love.
What was it like adjusting back to Earth after this experience?
Wow, that is the most interesting, actually. Wow, just back. That was something. And at the moment, I realized that I'm back, and I was like, "Oh, thank you." Then I don't. I said thank you. I didn't say thank you to nobody. I was like, "Thank you. Wow, thank you for the experience, for what just happened, for being back." And I realized I just stood. I called my friend, which is like it was like 5:30 in the morning now, and I called my friend up. I said, "Who I could call?" And me see who was up around this time. But this friend of mine was up, right? And then I called her up. She was all the way up in Florida. So I called her and I was like, "Hey sis, how are you? What's going on? We just got home from work. Da 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 da. Guess what happened?" She said, "What?" I said, "I just died." She was like, "What?" I said, "Yes, I just died." She, "Hey, what? Wait a minute." She said, "Let me sit." And then she made herself comfortable, and then I started explaining to her what happened, and I told her the whole story. She spoke for 45 minutes, and she was like, "Wow." And then she's the only person I really had confidence in because that's how close we were, that because of all the experiences we had that connects us like that. So it was just that way. I could have just laid my story out first glance, fresh from the oven, and then yeah, and I explained to her. I explained to her the situation, and she was so glad. She said, "Wow, I'm so glad you back. I don't know. I would have probably not known that." Then I said, "Well, I am back. Thank you." And then she's even mentioned in the book, maybe not. I don't know how he did it or did it. And adjusting was a bit different because after that, things, the material stuff has no value. So no value whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever on this planet, or let's call it that way, or this realm can save you. Can even take a needle with you. because it can just be like that in one shot. And then for me, it was about appreciate more what I have, right? Like, and I've said more. I'm talking about friends and family and knowledge, which I love a lot. So that's why I learn a lot about things and get to know the core, the heart of things. And it was not easy, but it was transformative. So it was very transformative because it's like now it's joy. Life has a sense, a purpose. You can feel you become more connected to nature, and I realize that I'm more sensitive to things, a lot of things like animal, playing with is it butterflies, things like that. Yes, yes, yes. Playing with butterflies, cats, all of that. You got the sixth sense thing going on. It's becoming like a very it's like I'm not gonna say superpower. You become very more intrusive, things like that. Yeah, you get to know.
Yeah, I think that as humans we call it a superpower, but I don't think it's a superpower. I think it's natural for us. Like it's innate. Like we're born with the abilities to connect to everything living because we are part of God. God is inside of us. God is energy, and that's what we are. Our spirit is energy. And energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only transforms. So if we're energy and we know that energy has energy field, right? So if there's an energy field around us and we are energy, that's going to be a huge energy field. And yeah, we're going to be able to feel that energy field and sense things and use it to our benefit. But as humans, with that fear, that fear, no, that's the devil. Yeah, right? But no, that's who we are. We're energy. That's who we are. That's what we're made of. And it's our right.
Things type beforehand. It's interesting, and the adjustment is it's been going well since, and my life, my children, things like that, and things that I was promised and did happen, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Oh yes, yes, definitely. So that's why the story is one of the most interesting because I was in myself pleading for what I know that should have happened, would have happened, and then finally they it's it's eventual like that. So we were in that position where life was very bad, and then doing this lifestyle that brought me about this experience, and now people I love people more. I mean, not that I don't love people, but it's like you have this sense of the way I say it, you give your heart to love and your hand to serve. That's how I see it. Always be there, always be.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. I love that. I'm so going to write that down. You give your heart to love and your hand to serve. I love that. I always say lead with love, but I really like the way he said that.
Always be there for people, no matter what. And there's no greater love than give your life away for somebody else.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Reid, for people who haven't had a near death experience and it's hard for them to picture, can you describe how your experience was different than like a regular dream?
For people that never had an NDE, if it happens, it happens. You cannot predict something like that. And the difference between that and a dream, you still have control over your body even when you sleep, right? And then that's why you can wake up and use the washroom, things like that, right? If you feel like you want
Yeah.
to, but otherwise, when you're in the state of passing away, like I said earlier, you feel like that numbness. You got this numbness. You got this transition. You got this phase that you no longer here, and then you feel turned off. It's a turn off. You just shut down. That's it. That's all. Like a screen, like a television, like a computer. because the body is only it's only a new vessel material like that. You can turn on and turn off, and I have many dreams, astral dreams, lucid dreams. I could differentiate all of them, but that situation happened, and that's why I then put it in the book, right? Because it's the most vivid thing, right? Going to that phase and come back, because it could happen anytime, anywhere, any place to anybody. There's no one way to do it, or to be in that state. It could happen anyhow.
Yeah. You've talked about not, I suppose, inviting death, but accepting it at the time. And I read your chapter in the book Near Death Institute, and you described that you had an obsession with death when you were young. Do you think that some of these thoughts prompted this experience to show you what would happen when you died?
Oh yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, I even say in the book, I would welcome it again, right? And yeah, I was obsessed with death in a sense where growing up in Haiti, which is a violent country, and I would see dead people all the time, whether going to school, whether there's a riot or somewhere, whether there's whatever situation, a thief somewhere, the police officer just shot him. Death was all around, everywhere, every single day. And then I was very puzzled when I would pass by and I would see this guy dead in his car. I would be like maybe 10, 12 years old, or even younger than that. And I would be like, where is he now? What is he doing? What's behind the curtain? That was very intriguing for me. And then I was like, I should promote into that thing, because nobody seemed to care. It's so taboo when you talk about death, right? People always got this scare. Oh, stay away, we bring bad luck.
Yes, I am definitely experiencing that. I can definitely relate with him when he's saying that he was obsessed with death, because going through the 9 months that I did caring for my father, I became obsessed with death. I did. I was researching everything, watching everything about death, learning as much as I can about it. And I don't know why. I was just drawn to it. It wasn't because my father was dying, because I never really had a fear of death. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I was definitely obsessed with death. And now I am working on opening an agency for death doulas, because I believe we need death doulas. Like, I wish I had a death doula when my father was passing. That would have been amazing for both of us. He definitely needed one, and I definitely could have used one. So I want to fix that. I want to create an agency of death doulas, a school where we can train the best death doulas ever and make it accessible to everybody. I think every single person should have access to a death doula, whether they're in the process of dying, whether a loved one is in the process of dying, or they're just curious about death. I believe we need to talk about it. It shouldn't be so taboo. And I'm realizing now that I'm trying to open this agency and I'm trying to get support and get the word out, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody does. Not at all. So taboo.
I was searching, reading, and then experiencing, and then documenting things too, because I had a friend that, passed away after I just spoke with them at 11 p.m. And then the next morning I would call, hey, what's up? Oh, he died last night. Things like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so I was very in the realm, I was very in that environment, right? So that obsession, I would say, was not to be like a suicidal person. None of that. It's just more of a research goal, let's say, because I love knowledge once again, and I wanted to know what's going on after, why, and then that's probably one of the reasons I had this experience. on my own to have the knowledge of, or not the whole knowledge, at least on a part of it, to be able to narrate what I experienced with people, and even put it in a chapter in a book with different other people that had the same experience but differently. But that's why knowledge is for, to discover. Knowledge is bestowed by research, right? And then I get to know, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm very humbled, and very yeah, I'm very humbled by the experience, right? Because I I don't know why I was selected to have it. The thing about it is I didn't have a big, let's say, a big car accident, a crash, or any of these things that could cause me to have a physical injury. But it happened because I was very in that realm, I'm not in the realm, but in that environment, to know what it's about. Because one thing people don't know is that whatever you ask for, you get, right? So there was that too. If you want to have an experience, you ask for it. You're gonna get it. It's so simple. So it's not a fluke. It's not a joke. It's the real deal. Whatever you put out there to experience, you're gonna experience it, and then it might have been that, and I'm sure it is that, and then I'm very proud of that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing the experience after you had it and using it to help others. I have just a couple more questions.
Oh, sure.
I forget if it was in some of your writings or in another video, but you said when you look at the other person, you look at God. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I have this friend of mine. That's how always he refers to himself, right? God. And then I would say, indeed, when I look at the other person, I see God, because God is not a religion. It's not a human statue. It's like, again, the electromagnetic pulse of life that lives within all living things and give life. It's that. So it's what you have many names for that energy: God, the key, the arcana. All of these names is to refer to that energy, which people don't know how it manifests, in self. So the way I see it is that I see the person and I see myself. So if I see myself, definitely I don't want to hurt myself. I want to love myself. I want to embrace myself.
That is so true. And oh my God, I agree with that. I'm getting chills just thinking about that, but he's right. Yeah, all of us are connected. We're all the same. So yeah, if I'm hurting this person, I'm just hurting myself. If I'm loving this person, I'm loving myself. And that's probably why when you do something kind for somebody else that's completely selfless, it feels so good inside of you. And nobody really understands what that is and why that happens, but it's true. And it's probably because he's right. That person is you. You loving that person is loving you. You hating that person is hating you. Like it's never separate. We're all together and always together. I love that.
Help myself, serve myself, encourage myself. So, and then all of these things, since they are part of you, they are also part of the other person. And if you look at yourself that way, you have to look at the other person that way as well. And once you look at it that way, you ain't gonna see nobody else but God standing in front of you, and to be your best with everybody. So that's why in the domain I serve, because I'm a chef, right? And in my kitchen, I only put one thing: respect. In that matter, You got this environment where everybody is fine, is happy, is in its human life still. But once you have respect, which is the main currency, you have everything. The rest will follow. And then when I see the other person, I see God, is because I see myself. I see me in the person. Why would I like? What would I not like? And then when I treat him as if I'm treating myself. And then that's how life's supposed to be. Humanity is not about compassion. It's about love for the other. So that's the way it is.
Yeah, we're all one.
Exactly.
What would you tell people who fear death?
I'm gonna start with that story, right? I went to a restaurant lately, not that long ago, maybe a month or so, even probably two max. And I just finished picking up the food to go home, and this gentleman approached me. And the way he approached me, I could see that he had this sadness type of in his face. And I said, and he said, hi. I said, hey, how are you? Because one thing when you have been in those situations, you become so caring for others, so it's like you become a different person when you come from these experiences. And then when he approached me, he was like, hey, how are you? I was like, hi, how's it going? And he was like, oh, I have to tell you, just like that. He approached me, I have to tell you, I used to love this woman. He was telling me, now I lost that woman. My heart is broken, and I feel like I lost her forever. And now I feel like death is coming for me. What can you tell me?
He just sensed that.
What? That's crazy. Just a stranger comes up to you and tells you that? Like, how would he know? That's why I'm saying that we're definitely all connected. I'm sure he felt that in his energy. And besides that, I do believe that we have angels and spirit guides that are made up of people, our ancestors, and of beings that have never walked foot on earth, like an angel. And they orchestrate, they introduce us to the right people, they get the right people in front of us that need to be, or get us in the right places. And wow, that gave me chills. Like, that's an amazing story.
You were the person to ask?
He just approached me just like that in front of the restaurant.
Okay.
So I was like, oh wow, okay, well, first of all, life happens. Forget about the woman. It happened that, you had your time with her. And then we spoke about that. And then when he was like, what can you tell me? Because I'm so scared. I'm scared of death. And I was like, oh wow. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. So myself, friends, I tried to tell them personally my experience. And then we stood there for a good 30 minutes talking. So I was telling him about my experience, how this life is not the real life. It's the stage life. It's a simulation. It's the hologram. It's none of that thing that you see in front of your eyes. That is, no, it's just a shell. The real life is in death indeed, because once you cross, that's when you're gonna discover yourself. You're gonna see that you have no limits, no boundaries, no nothing. And then we talked for a good while, and I explained to him, and when we talked, we laughed. So the mood changed, the laugh comes back, the smile come back, and I was so proud because not only that he approached me out of nowhere, but also I was able to communicate with what I know from my experience personally, and then I was telling him, and he was like, wow, you're telling me a lot of things that, I didn't know. So I was like, well, I'm glad I can only tell you what I know, but I'm glad that you changed your frowning now. Your face looks a bit different because you laughing. So just to tell that people scared of that transition, right? So I even say that life loves us to death. That's the only thing.
Aw, that's really
You know?
sweet.
It does.
I love that. I'm
Me
gonna
too.
remember that for a long time.
Indeed. Love that.
Me too. This guy has some amazing sayings. Love, life loves us to death. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to write that down.
To death. So if he wasn't alive, there would be no death.
True.
Therefore, it's just a crossing from one side to the other, and then people. I even say to in the book that the only thing that would hurt is the body. The body, the harm, that's what hurt. But death in itself, it's sweet. So you just to know how to approach it. You just to know how to celebrate it. Some people celebrate there. Some people just go about them differently. Some cultures, but the way it is that we have the fear of death because of what we can see happen to a body that we love. It's just the body. So after the yourself is released from that vessel, you are free, and then you live happily ever after.
Reed, I want to ask where people can hear more about your story. That's my last question for all my guests, but I have one more. And you've talked about regretting reading all the books that you had when you died and your pursuit of knowledge. And my last other question is, do you have any book recommendations for my viewers? Anything?
I would say actually books have always been part of my life, and my dad. So you always told me knowledge is in books. So that's my dad. Actually, I would give credit for because he initiated me to that. And my dad used to write a lot. Everything that passes through his mind, he would put on paper, and then he would have this little corner of his little library thing. And yeah, my books actually is available on Amazon, right? You can find it there. And another book I would suggest actually is I though actually it's one of my first book that I ever read, and then it was so immersive that I when you read that book, you feel like you in the book and you live the person the actors and the people inside it. And then I remember I devoured that book a whole summer, and then it was so intriguing. Maybe it was like maybe 400 pages even. So it's very voluminous like that, voluminous. So it's called At the Razor's Edge by Mogham Somerset. It's one of my favorites. And if you can find that book to read, and then you would see yourself at some point in one of the principles of the persons inside the book, actually, because that's how the book is written. And then once you start it, you cannot stop, right? And then situations of love, of hate, of betrayal, of redemption, of fear, of love, of sadness, of all of that. And that's in my that actually I don't even have it because it was so long ago that I read it from my uncle's library. Now that I mention it, because I always keep referencing that book to people because it's so well written and done, and that's one of my favorite. But yeah, if somebody needs the book, which is Death, actually, which was published 2 years ago, indeed. So next week will be 2 years since we published Death, Transformative Near-Death Experiences, right? And then they can find it on Amazon. And for me, they can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Read Moors. There's only one Read Moors, actually. Definitely, it was a great pleasure for having me sharing my story and tell about this world that people don't know because they scared, right? So all these things, people should get acquainted to them to understand that life and death is the same.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to include all those links to your pages and the book Near Death Institute in the video description. And
Yes.
I want to say thank you so much for joining me this Saturday. I had a wonderful.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me today with this death story, Living Truth. I hope that you learned something about living true today through this death story. I know I have. I'm definitely taking lots of notes from this story, and I can't wait to see you again. Until next time, this is Death Stories, Living True.